Okay, guys, I gotta admit this. We're in Florida, and I have a really hard time saying the H word. But for you guys, I'll do it. Hurricane season opened this week. And to honor that occasion, our federal government is sending out the ships, actual ships, costing actual money. And they are on a mission to remove 900 scientific instruments out of the deep ocean. Instruments that watch that very ocean. The very ocean that births the hurricanes. Yes, we are right now spending money to actively make tracking hurricanes harder. Why? Because data and science are woke. Happy friggin' hurricane season. At least when we get hit by one, maybe DeSantis will finally fix insurance like he's been promising his whole administration. Wouldn't count on it. But back to this woke science. The gear that's getting ripped out of the ocean is called the Ocean Observatories Initiative, $368 million network of more than 900 deep sea sensors. They've got these things anchored off of Oregon, Washington, Alaska, North Carolina, and a stretch of the North Atlantic between Greenland and Iceland. And for a decade, this system has measured ocean temperature, currents, how much carbon dioxide the sea is swallowing, raw data. The very raw data that feeds storm forecasting. And this system was built to run for 25 years, 15 more. And yet Donald Trump is killing it at 10. And the National Science Foundation isn't even just going to leave it there just in case. They could do that and save a buck. Instead, they are allocating ship days to physically haul all of it back to shore. They are spending your money to remove the thing that pays for itself by protecting us. And if you ask the NSF why, you get the single most beautiful sentence in government. They're not dismantling a climate monitoring system, no. This, quote, aligns with NSF's wider strategy to have a nimbler approach to prioritizing support for evolving scientific purposes and emerging technologies, as well as a deliberate approach to smart life cycle management within its portfolio of research infrastructure. Those are certainly words, several of them, and a lot of them have more than one syllable. I don't think they actually said anything other than smart life cycle management. That is what we're calling it now when we're yanking the buoys out of the sea right before the storms come. The buoys are simply at the end of their life cycle 15 years too soon. It's kind of ironic that their life cycle ended the precise moment that they started producing data that someone upstairs didn't want to read. Because that's the real reason, and they barely bother to hide it. This administration cut this program's budget by 80% and went on record saying that federal climate research had, quote, drifted away from core agency missions and become vehicles for activism. Translation, the ocean was getting woke. The thermometers had an agenda. Donnie McGenius and his band of merry men up there in DC would simply rather not have data. Because if you don't measure the fever, then technically the patient's fine. I mean, it's an old adage that I totally just made up. If you don't like the weather, you smash the thermometer and announce that summer has been canceled. But you can smash the thermometer all you want. The water is still getting warmer. The currents are still shifting. The carbon is still pouring into the sea. None of that pauses just because a buoy got hauled up by a boat. The only thing that changes is that we get to find out later, in the dark, usually right about the time that the water is coming into your living room. Seriously, I need to repeat this. Right now, we are spending taxpayer money to get rid of data because the data conflicts with their sweetheart deals with fossil fuel companies. They are pulling out the sensors that help predict the storms in the same breath that they've spent a year gutting the agency that responds to the storms. Yeah, FEMA, roughly a third of its staff gone. This administration's own budget tried to cut another $646 million from FEMA on top of that. And now that hurricane season is actually here, they're having to frantically duct tape FEMA back together. They had to re-release $600 million in flood mitigation grants that they had canceled. They had to rehire staff that they fired. CNN talked to insiders who have said that even with all these rehirings, it's going to take years to undo the damage. You know why? Because the ocean doesn't care what your budget memo says. A hurricane doesn't care if you're wearing a red MAGA hat or if you're the most woke liberal out there. The ocean keeps getting warmer whether or not there's a sensor there to measure it. All you're doing when you rip the thermometer out is you guarantee that when a big one comes, no one will have seen it coming, and no one is funded to help you when it hurts you. Leave me a comment, because we've lived through a ton of hurricanes. What would you rather have, hurricane, earthquake, tornado? Because we're going to get a lot more of all three of them if Donald Trump stays in office much longer.